Hello Internet, this is Marko Yamashita welcoming you to a new segment on my channel where we review the two publicly traded VTuber company stocks, Anycolor Inc. and Cover Corporation. Today we will be reviewing the first of these companies, namely Anycolor Inc. Recent data over the past 30 days shows Anycolor had a correction period, dropping approximately 9% before climbing back up over the past 25 days through a long uptrend period totaling 5%. Now, it's important to note that while the stock price has been slowly recuperating from its losses, a long-term investor would have taken a 6% hit in their stock value during this time period. It's also important to note that depreciating values are often common among cyclical stocks due to the heavy influence of the Japanese economy at large. Comparing Anycolor stock to Cover Corps proves this point, as they have a direct correlation price that demonstrates this. That said, investors have plenty to be optimistic about. The stock maintains a decent entry point price, and analysts continue to reiterate an overly optimistic price ceiling of 4,600 yen. Though in my opinion, I think this is far too optimistic, and a price point of between 32 and 36 is much more realistic given the current state of the market. Anycolor currently enjoys writing a healthy annual and quarterly report from June that shows an impressively small amount of company debt. The company also appears to have a solid cash flow along with an impressive revenue stream backed by a diversified revenue policy. Finally, the company has enough liquid assets to cover their obligations and interest payments. However, certain indicators do point to a potential momentum shift. The company stock is trading at a high price to book value. This is backed up by its price to book ratio, which helps measure this. Though this isn't a deal breaker, a high ratio might indicate the stock is overpriced relative to the company's net asset value. When combined with other indicators, stock owners and potential investors should be prepared for a momentum reversal should this indicator continue to sit at a high inflated ratio. Investors tend to withdraw from cyclical stocks when the yen is weak versus the US dollar, or if the market itself is struggling, and that causes investors to move their wealth into more defensive securities. And in spite of positive bias from financial analysts who are giving the stock a high forecast, there is a noticeable slowing in momentum indicated by the scholastic models shown here on screen, as well as the relative strength index and the decrease in trade volume. These indicators attempt to show when a stock is overbought or overpriced, or when it's undervalued or it's been oversold. And depending on where you see it on the chart here, it indicates where the stock is going. Now, finally, let's take a look at the price itself. And as we can see, there are calculated what are called pivot points, and the stock needs to start pressing against these pivot points, which are commonly referred to as resistance lines. Now, these numbers show at what point investors tend to sell the stock based upon the most recent closure price or among other numerical values. The stock price will need to breach each of these values and close higher in order for it to be declared a breakout and cure the current price stagnation. Certainly, stock analysts do believe that this can occur over the next 12 months, though some have begun to rethink that projection. And if we look at the historical data, Anycolor tends to peak about once a quarter, usually at or around the time of their quarterly and annual physical report. And while the stock price does continue to float between undervalued to neutral, it's important to see the context of when the stock peaks and what causes the stock to peak or causes the stock the tumble. It's been just over a year since Anycolor completed its stock split. After the stock split occurred, there were 62,321,170 shares owned by the investors. After the recent stock buyback and stock cancellation on July 24th, 2024, the number of shares outstanding, which means the number of shares that have been bought and are currently being held by stockholders, stands at 60,461,789 shares, meaning there are 97% of the shares that were purchased and held after the stock split that are still being owned. This is important because it places the total price point in proper perspective. While stockholder volume is lighter than the year before, current holdings plus the number of canceled stock places the stock price at its correctly adjusted price. Otherwise, if the stock had not split, the current price value of the stock would be over $5,000. Anycolor enjoyed a longer than average, though depreciating price tail after their stock split. Most stocks tend to trade lower for at least a year before it recovers after they do a stock split. Now that the stock has settled into its expected price range equal to what the market value is, future financial quarters will need to either be in line or beat expectations and projections in order to hold the investors' interest in the stock and keeping Anycolor in their portfolio. That's it for Anycolor. I hope you found all of this insightful and informative. We will continue to monitor this stock and provide you with additional reporting on a regular basis, depending on how things are going. Now, if you found this report informative, please remember to hit the like button, subscribe. You won't find more thorough reporting on a stock like this for a VTuber company anywhere else. And believe me when I say there are plenty of content creators trying to validate their hatred of this company through misinformation and misanalysis that are completely off base and have no supporting credit or information to stand behind what their claims are. Help keep our community honest and informed by seeking accurate and mature facts backed by source material that can be referenced and has not been filtered through at least 2 other people before they blindly say this is the news. Everything that you see here is sourced. It can be cited. It will be in my description. All you have to do is click the description and you can see all the source material that this comes from. And I do my own research. I do my own homework. I don't let other people do my homework and then blindly trust them. So with that in mind, as always, please have a great morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever it might be for you. Until then, this is Marko Yamashita, signing off. Peace.